So for my topic, I'm going to talk about growing up in Utah and not being LDS, and kind of experiences that I had with that helped shape my views on religion and helped shape who I am today and what I believe in. So yeah, Utah is a very heavily LDS state. One of their primary religions here is the Church of Latter-day Saints, or the LDS religion. And my dad's side of the family is LDS and my mom's side of the family is Catholic. So I've always seen both sides of religion. Religion has always been heavily influenced in my life. I was baptized Catholic. My mother's Catholic, my grandmother on her side is Catholic, and her dad, or my grandpa, is Catholic as well. So I was baptized Catholic when I was a baby, and then I went through another baptism when I called a communion when I was 8 years old. And then when I was 13, I also made my confirmation. So I was always heavily involved with the Catholic religion. I did know a little bit about the LDS religion growing up. As a kid, I never really understood what it was, what they believed in. I just kind of knew the logistics of it, that they went to church for 3 hours every Sunday, something that I didn't really understand because my church was only an hour. And I knew that they did have strict beliefs, but at the time, as a kid, I didn't really know what they were until I had an experience when I was about 10 years old. So when I was 10 years old, I was playing with one of my friends from elementary school. We were outside in my backyard and my dad was taking out the trash. And a beer bottle fell out of the trash can and broke on the ground. And my friend noticed and she asked me, "Is that a beer bottle?" And I said, "Yeah." My parents drink socially. They drank with their friends. When they would come over, they would drink at tailgating. So it was just something that I was around and something that I knew was okay to do with our religion, when you hit the appropriate age, of course. And I said yes, thinking, there's nothing wrong. And she said, "I can't be your friend anymore." And I caught off guard. I was like, "Why?" And she said, "Because your parents drink beer and beer's bad. It can kill you." And I knew that she was LDS, but that really caught me off guard. Being so young, it really hurt my feelings as well, because again, I didn't really know why she couldn't be my friend because of beer, and that kind of put a stigma in my mind where I was like, oh, beer's bad for you, my parents shouldn't be drinking beer. And so that night I asked my mom, I said, "Mom, why do you drink beer?" And she said, "Well, because beer's okay to drink in our religion." And I said, I'm not going to say my friend's name, but I said, "So and so won't be my friend because you guys drink beer." And that's when my mom started to begin to tell me about the LDS religion and what they believed in, how they didn't believe in drinking alcoholic beverages and drinking high caffeinated beverages such as coffee, soda, and so on, and how they didn't believe in saying cuss words or swearing, or they believed in abstinence. And that's kind of when I began to recognize what the LDS religion was and what they believed in. So yeah, throughout middle school, I never really talked about religion to my friends because a lot of my friends either were not religious or they were Catholic or a different affiliated religion. I didn't have a lot of LDS friends because of that experience that I had when I was younger. I was always thought, oh, they're not going to be my friends. And religion was something that we weren't allowed to talk about in school. And that kind of made me not upset, but just confused as to why we couldn't talk about it. And I didn't really understand that until my later years throughout high school as to why teachers weren't allowed to talk about their religious beliefs in school. I would always talk about it openly with my friends. A lot of people knew that I wasn't LDS, and a lot of people knew that I was Catholic. But like I said, the friend group that I stayed with was not LDS, and that I feel like had a nice relief of pressure off my shoulders. I did still have a few friends who I would hang out with that were LDS, but it was never bad. They never really forced me to do anything when I was younger. They never would make me go to church with them. When I was a kid, I didn't swear, until I got to high school, so that never really was a problem. And I never really grew a strong dislike towards the LDS church until I was in high school. So I will talk about that in a second. So when I started high school, I went to Brighton High School. So it was very heavily LDS. Cottonwood Heights is kind of it's a kind of more of a mixed area, but there are still, the high school I went to, a lot of the kids were LDS. And I started dating in high school. I would date guys who were LDS, and I never really had a problem until it was my sophomore year. I was friends with this kid who was LDS, and he asked me on a few dates, and I went on some dates with him, and he found out that I wasn't LDS. And that put a negative stigma in his head of who I was. He said that he couldn't be with me anymore because I wasn't LDS, and that kind of hurt my feelings in a way, because there wasn't really anything wrong with me. It's just the fact that I wasn't part of his religious beliefs. And that happened about 3 or 4 times with 3 to 4 different guys. One of the guys, I actually feel like I had to change who I was. So I did start going to LDS church. And it just was a different feeling than going to Catholic church. And when I was in high school, I also started to create my own beliefs on religion. I started to my mother and my father gave me like my own choice of, after I made my confirmation in the Catholic Church, that I could choose as to what I believed in as a religion. So that really helped me as well, because I started to form my own beliefs and my own dislikes towards the LDS Church for many reasons. And I'm going to talk about one of my experiences in the next video. Like I said before, my dad's side of the family is very heavily LDS. My grandpa has always been high up in the church. He's always been really involved with the church, and growing up I just knew that because he was very open about the church. He would talk about it when we would have family dinners. He would discuss his beliefs, his dislikes towards what he liked and what he didn't like, and he would always stress on how we weren't LDS. And my dad has another sibling. He has 2 siblings who aren't LDS. One of them who isn't affiliated, and then us who are Catholic. So also growing up, my dad shared a story that when my dad was growing up LDS, he was very forced to go on a mission. And my dad had a brother who came out as gay when he was 18, and he actually got kicked out from my grandparents because they didn't believe that. The church didn't believe that being part of the LGBT plus community was okay. And when my father told me that story, it really hurt me, because I have a cousin who is transgender, so I know that very personally. And then my little brother is actually gay, and that really hurt me as well, because I think about how someone couldn't accept someone they love for being who they are. And of course, growing up, my dad's side of the family, my cousin who's actually transgender is on my dad's side, and they were very accepting of him because of his transition from a she to a he. And they were really accepting of that, and they were also really accepting of my brother, which kind of opened my eyes a little bit as to how people can change, but it's still different for them. And I still to this day have friends who are part of the LGBTQ plus community who aren't accepted by their families because they are LDS, and that just really, really affected me. Because I think about my brother and my cousin and how my families love them, and I think about my friends whose families don't accept them for who they are, and that really, I cannot stress enough how much it breaks my heart because of that they are LDS. And that's something that I really started to dislike about their religion, is how they didn't accept people for who they were. And so that's kind of one of the main reasons why I started to form my own beliefs toward religion. So when I was a senior in high school, I started to form my own opinions about religion based on the experiences that I talked about before, and how I became older, and I kind of could form my own opinions. I would kind of veer away from the boys who wanted to go on dates with me who were LDS, and I kind of would stand my own ground and say, you know what, no, I am not LDS, and if that bothers you, that bothers you. If it doesn't, it doesn't. And that is just the way it was. I started to believe my own thing, and I kind of came out with the idea that I do not believe in religion. I believe that there's a God and that there's a higher being, but I don't believe in religion. I believe that if, God was real, that he wouldn't want religion to be affected, because that is something that a lot of people fight over. So growing up not being LDS in Utah was kind of a struggle. But I did learn to adapt to it very quickly by growing up and forming my own opinions throughout, from elementary school to high school and to where I am today. So yeah. So I really feel that by growing up not LDS in a very heavily LDS community and state has made me form my own opinion on religion and on accepting people for who they are. And I feel like that if things were different and I was LDS, I would still have the same feelings on how I feel today, because I have seen a darker side of the LDS religion. I know a darker side of the LDS religion, and from experiences with friends and family and people that I know and personal experiences. So I feel like growing up in Utah and not being LDS really formed my own opinion on who I am and made me a stronger person as to what I believe in, and to stand my ground on when I don't feel comfortable with things, and to let people know. So there's my video.